Okay, so here we're going to, you can see where we have our track that we were recording into. And what I'll do is we'll end up recording to the same track, but I'll put an aux in front of it, signal flow wise, so that the vocal flows through the aux with AutoTune on an insert and flows into the record track, so that the AutoTune actually gets committed as the vocals are being recorded.
Right, we're kind of taking a track in Pro Tools and putting it before the track that we're recording on. So anything that we do on this aux track that Wyatt just made here, anything we do on any effects, not just AutoTune, but it could be compression, EQ, could be anything, all that's going to get routed to and then recorded on the track that we're actually recording on. So we have to do a little bit of routing on the inputs and outputs of these tracks to make this work. So he just opened up AutoTune on the aux, on an insert of that. Now, whatever input we were using for Pro Tools, which I can't see from here, what input were we using on that record track?
We were using input 5.
Okay, so now input 5 is going to go to the aux, which means right after our distressor, the compressor that we set up, it's going to go now to that aux input track, and then we're going to use a bus in Pro Tools to take the output of the aux and feed that now to the input of the audio track. So it's a little funky with the routing, a little complex, but if you just do it a few times, you'll kind of get used to it. And a lot of systems when you're recording, if you have an artist who wants to use AutoTune on every track, a lot of times, unless you're on a Pro Tools HD system, you may not have the processing power to run, however many instances of AutoTune there are. So this is one way you can get away with using just one instance of AutoTune and then just recording it in, and that way you don't have to worry about your computer being able to handle, 20 plus instances of the plugin.
The one thing that you do need to know is the key of the song, and you can use programs like Mixed in Key, or you could also use a guitar or a piano, something like that, to find out what the key of the song is. In this instance, we already know that it's B major, so we're going to put AutoTune into B major so that no matter what is sung through AutoTune, it will stick to the scale of B major and be in key with the song. As Matt said, it's coming in input 5, and you could see, if you followed my mouse, how I routed that track output to the input of the actual record track, so that anything that happens on the inserts of this track get recorded to our vocal in track. So we'll just do a new playlist so we're not recording over any of our keeper vocals. So for effect, we're going to turn the AutoTune up pretty fast, and we'll roll it through the bridge, and you'll be able to see and hear the AutoTune being committed to tape on her bridge. So let me try one thing here real quick. Yeah, this will help. This will help. This will help. Okay, you should be able to, timing-wise, you should be able to get it a little better.
Check. Yeah, that's a little better.
I face all my demons without fear and regret. I'd go without any just to make sure you get everything you'd ever want and everything you'd ever need, to make sure my eyes are the last thing you see. Ooh, yeah. I can't face a day without you by my side.
Let's do one more, just like you just did, and we'll be good.
All my demons without fear and regret. I'd go without any just to make sure you get everything you'd ever want and everything you'd ever need, to make sure my eyes are the last thing you see. Ooh, yeah. I can't face a day without you by my side.
Awesome, thank you. So obviously, again, we were overdoing the AutoTune just so that you could hear the effect while we were real-time tracking it. And if we play back that, let me make a bridge track real quick. If we play that back, you'll be able to hear that I'm going to close the AutoTune, and I'm going to drag those bridge vocals down to a bridge track, drag the verb and delay down, and then we'll listen back to it.
So at this point, we could just completely remove AutoTune altogether. It'll still be there because it was recorded into the file. All right.
I face all my demons without fear and regret. I'd go without any just to make sure you get everything you'd ever want and everything you'd ever need, to make sure my eyes are the last thing you see. Ooh, yeah. I can't face a day without you by my...
And this is one of those things you got to be careful of, just like when we were talking about setting the compression pre-tape. If you overdo it, you can't undo what you did. Right? So what you just heard is exactly what was recorded. We can't turn down the auto-tune after the fact, so you just got to be careful. Anytime you're doing any effects, what's called pre-tape, or before it actually gets recorded to an audio track, you just got to be careful you don't overdo it. Right? Because again, just like with compression, if we used a little bit of auto-tune and decide we need more later, we can add more later. That's not really a problem. But if you overdo it when it gets recorded, you can't get back to the point where you were without it.
So usually safer to do things at what's called post-tape, or after the recording, during the mixing process or the rough mixing process. Generally safer to do your effects there when possible.